world's in recession. I mean, watch Bloomberg if you're not aware of that. The world's certainly in recession, and there is having a cyclical slowdown. But the secular supply is being damaged even more. You're not going to be able to get any. Farmers cannot get loans to expand. Nobody's going to give you money to open a zinc mine in the next decade. So when we come out of this cyclical decline, you're going to have even less supply, and the bull market in commodities is going to resume, and that will be the best place to have money.
Now, one of the best places to have money in the commodity markets of late has, of course, been gold, a safe haven, etc. Is that partly where you're putting your money?
Well, no, I have gold. If gold goes down, I'll buy more. If it goes up, I'll buy more. No, gold is in a bull market, which has got years to go. But I expect to make more money in agriculture, Nina, than I do in gold, but I own it. Bought some yesterday, as a matter of fact.
So you're still buying gold. Let's talk about the policymakers' response to exactly what's going on. A lot of people saying perhaps they're getting a little bit further ahead on the curve now. Do you agree with that or not? There's been a lot of talk about people being behind the curve for a long time here.
Nina, the reason we're having these problems is because these guys don't know what they're doing. If I came to your show every week, 100 weeks in a row, and I was wrong every week, you'd probably stop having me. After 8 weeks, you'd say, get that guy out of here. After 18 weeks, I'd say, I never want to see him again. Paulson, Bernanke, the idiot at the New York Fed, Tim Greiten, or whatever his name is, these guys are never right. Why do people listen to them? Why would you go for them? They're the ones making it worse. They're the ones making mistakes. The Depression in the 30s started out as a stock market bubble, which popped. Then it turned into a slight recession. Policymakers made mistake after mistake after mistake, and we had the Great Depression. We've got a bunch of people now who may turn this into the Great Depression.
Now, that's exactly what I was coming to. With your kind of investment foresight, do you think that maybe it is as bad as the Great Depression, worse than the Great Depression? Already people like the Finance Minister of Finland and other nations saying we could have 3 years' worth of recession on this side of the Atlantic. Is it the same on your side of the Atlantic?
The Japanese have remember the lost decade of the 1990s in Japan because they would not let anybody fail. They kept propping up zombie banks, zombie companies. It's 18 years later in Japan, and they're still paying the price because they wouldn't let people fail. I hope we don't have 18 years in the U.S., but the U.S. is trying to say there's no problem, nobody's going to lose your job, nobody's going to lose any money. That's insane. We had the worst period of credit excess in world history. Somebody's got to feel some pain.
Now, if credit excess has been the problem, would bringing rates down to about 1% be the solution, as some people have been advocating? Probably not.
Absolutely not. You've got to let people fail. That's the problem right now. Nobody knows what the assets are. I wouldn't lend you money, Nina, if I didn't know what your assets were. If you showed me something and said, these are my assets, and I knew they were false, I wouldn't lend you any money, and you wouldn't either. You've got to let people fail. Then the courts take over the people who are bad, and you can lend money to them. Then you have the system start over again. Look, in the late 90s, South Korea did it, cleaned out the system with horrible pain, and became one of the rapidly growing countries in the world for the next 10 years. Russia did it. America did it in 1920. Turkey did it in 2000. This is what has always worked. Propping people up has never worked in the history of the world. I'm not giving you philosophy or politics or Democrats or Republicans. I'm telling you what has worked in history and what has not worked in history.
Okay, then how many more banks could go to the wall?
Lots. In America, we have 9,000 or 10,000 banks. What's the way the system is supposed to work? When people get in trouble, the people who are competent, the people who didn't make bad loans, take the assets from the incompetent, and then the system starts over. What we're doing now, we're taking the assets from the good people, from the competent people, giving them to the incompetent people and saying, okay, incompetent people, now you can compete with the competent people with their money. The way it's supposed to work, the competent people are supposed to be taking market share now from the incompetent people and starting over. I mean, this is bad economics. It's bad morality, first of all, but politicians don't care about morality. It's terrible economics.
Let me an anecdote of my own. Just earlier on today, an investor emailed me to say, God save us, when we saw those markets opening down 7%. How much panic is there in the market?
Well, there's not enough. I mean, I wish there were. I wish the market were down 20% in a day. Then we would know it's the bottom. Then we would know there'd be things going wrong. As far as gold, I mean, you know, I bought some gold. I got my gold. You know, I bought a couple here.
Show us again, absolutely.
No, it's real. It's the real stuff. It's
well,
real
you know
gold.
what, Mr. Rogers, you're lucky to have that, because throughout the course of this show, an investor just emailed me and said, for instance, the sandwich person around the corner from him that runs his sandwich shop tried to go and buy gold bullion yesterday in the City of London and couldn't.
Well, I got this in Zurich yesterday, so maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I know that there's been a run on gold coins all over the world, and people are running out of them.